Thank you all for being here this morning for the morning program. And if you could join me, we'd like to chant Jai Radha Madhava together. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodhanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodhanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanacha Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Jaya Radha Radha Nata Radha Radha Nata Radhe Jaya Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Shri Radhe Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Nitya Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitya Gaur Hari Bol Their Lordship Shri Shri Radha Radhanath Ki Jai, Srimad Mahaprabhu Ki Jai, Shri Giriraj Govardhan Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. So this morning we are reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, the 4th canto, part 3, chapter 4, text 32. If you repeat, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Mitreya Uvacha Ite Anukraso Ridhayo Bhagavan Ahatan Shiva Bhagavan Ahatan Shiva Bhada Anjalin Rajaputran Padhan Anjali Rajaputran Narayana Paravachaha Narayana Paravachaha Mitraya Uvacha Mitraya Uvacha Iti Anukrasa Ridhayo Bhagavanaha Tan Shiva Badha Anjalin Rajaputran Rajaputran Narayana Paravachaha Matraya Uvacha Iti Anukrosa Ridhayo Bhagavanaha Tan Shiva Badha Anjalin Rajaputran Narayana Paravachaha Mitraya Uvacha. The great saint Maitreya continued to speak. Iti, thus, Anukrosa Ridhaya, very kind-hearted, Bhagavan, the Lord, Aha, said, Tan, unto the Pranchayas, Shiva, Lord Shiva, Bhada Anjalin, who was standing with folded hands, Rajaputran, the son of the king, Narayana Para, Lord Shiva, the great devotee of Narayan. Vachaha, words. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The great sage Maitreya continued, out of his causeless mercy, the exalted personality, Lord Shiva, a great devotee of Lord Narayan, continued to speak to the king's sons who were standing with folded hands. Purport. Lord Shiva voluntarily came to bless the sons of the kings as well as do something beneficial for them. He personally chanted the mantra so that the mantra could be more powerful, and he advised that the mantra being chanted by the king's sons, Rajaputras, when a mantra is chanted by a great devotee, the mantra becomes more powerful. Although the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is powerful in itself, a disciple upon initiation receives the mantra from his spiritual master, for when the mantra is chanted by the spiritual master, it becomes more powerful. Lord Shiva advised the sons of the king to hear him attentively, for inattentive hearing is offensive. Text 32, Maitreya Vacha iti anukrosa ridheyo bhagavanaha tan shiva bhada anjalin rajaputran narayano para uvacha. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manoblistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupam Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Patikamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sarvadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gourange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyaiva cha patitanan pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Nama om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namine. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we pray for some blessings from the Vaishnavas so that I may speak something pleasing to the devotees and also represent the Parampara, Srila Prabhupada and the Acharyas as best as I can. So today we're reading, as I said, from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 24, Text 32. And this is such a great part of Srimad Bhagavatam, especially I love that it's setting the scene for what's to come. So when we look at inviting somebody or expecting something, we have an understanding, we have something to look forward to. There's some sort of anticipation of what's to come. Rather than if just somebody enters the door here and we just welcome them, oh, you're here, Hare Krishna, nice to see you. But if you have that expectation and there's a build-up and there's a momentum to say we are expecting somebody, or there's a visitor, or there's a senior devotee, or there's something special that's happening, like festivals, and there's always a countdown to something, we look forward to it in anticipation. So what's happening here is that from yesterday, Lord Shiva was hinting, actually now he's just saying, I'm going to give this mantra. And this mantra is going to be all powerful. And he's creating this expectation as we read and as we go on, that such expectation is going to create the momentum for what's to come. And then when he says this mantra, everybody's now like, okay, what mantra is this? But it actually goes on for the next 70 verses, the explanation of what this mantra is. So the power at the setting of the scene is so valid, because it just creates that, okay, I want to continue because this is something important, right? I want to read more. I want to understand more, because this whole setting of the scene is so important in understanding. And this is Lord Shiva, Mahadev, a great personality, who is saying, I am now going to share this mantra. And he's so kind-hearted that he's now giving this here, these young cultured men are coming with folded arms and are waiting to receive this from Lord Shiva. And then we may understand, you know what, Lord Shiva himself is such a great devotee. It is said here in the purport by Srila Prabhupada that he's a great devotee of Lord Narayan. And then we may come to understand, but hey, you know what? How is it that we are differentiating now? But if somebody who really is serious about understanding the path of devotional service and the path of Krishna consciousness, he will understand that Lord Shiva happily meditates on his Rudra, the names of Sri Krishna. He's happy to meditate. And as we see, and when we investigate, if a keen scholar is really, really wanting to understand what is Lord Shiva busy doing, Mahadev, right? The greatest. That is when we understand that Mahadev is actually meditating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that Rudha that he's wearing, those beads, it's actually a meditation on Lord Krishna. And here that we have a problem in this material world where we say, oh gosh, we are servants. Being a servant is very difficult initially. You know, when you use that word servant in the normal material space, it's met with what? We can't use it, actually. Nobody out there, if you have... It's like a servant is more like now somebody who's actually tortured in a way. Why should you serve somebody? It's that ego, that materialistic nature that's built up to say, why should we be servants? Yet the bedrock of devotional service is to be a servant. And that's how you make progression in spiritual life. So here we see, again, a disparity between the material realm and the spiritual realm. Lord Shiva being a servant, he is actually taking the role to come here and say, I'm giving you this mantra. He's sharing the knowledge. And what is he saying? I'm sharing it from a point of view of now you listen attentively. There's a few instructions. You're not just going to take this mantra, because if you do not listen attentively, it's going to lose its power. The second thing is that when a mantra is received from a person, a bona fide person of the disciplic Vaishnava tradition, it comes with power. So there's also a very nice analogy, is that when we are blissful in service, we have that deep connection, we tend to say, okay, I'm going to listen to your instruction carefully. I'm going to take you seriously, because there's no ego attached to it. Whereas the material world, we're looking at who can be more superior. I don't want to take instruction from you. I cannot be a servant, right? But the spiritual world, in order for us to make progress, we have to have that servant attitude. We have to have the whole understanding of spirituality being servants of each other. So Lord Shiva, being the most happy to meditate on Lord Narayan, Lord Sri Krishna, he's now passing on this this mantra. He's creating the scene and he's passing on this mantra. And here we are understanding that Srila Prabhupada says, when a mantra is chanted by a great devotee, the mantra becomes more powerful. So let us understand that. There's a very nice analogy. Actually, Srila Prabhupada was explaining this to John Lennon and his wife, very simply, John Lennon's wife. And they were talking about the Maha Mantra. And as you know, that sometimes, Srila Prabhupada just sat at Thompson Square Park in New York, alone, under the tree that still stands very tall and strong and proud. There's actually a plaque on the tree that's preserved, and it says the Hare Krishna tree. And His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada started the mission in the West right here under this tree. Being a pure devotee, Srila Prabhupada chanted, and it was well received. The hippies, as he laughed and he used to say, the hippies became happies. Right? That was Srila Prabhupada's words, and they loved it. They didn't fight it back and say, oh gosh, why are you telling us that? And why are you saying this? No, because they had that love for Srila Prabhupada. They understood their position, that Srila Prabhupada was bringing them this mantra that was so powerful. And when they received it as such, their hearts melted. So all Srila Prabhupada did single-handedly as an old man braving New York under that tree in Thompson Square Park was chanting the mantra. That's all he did. He chanted the mantra, and those who received it from the lips of a pure devotee, that mantra became all-powerful. So when Srila Prabhupada was explaining to John Lennon and his wife about the power of receiving a mantra from a person, who bona fide person, he gave a very simple analogy, which, like for instance, you've got a cable and you have a plug and you have a cable and you need to switch on something. It's meaningless if you do not switch it on into the socket, into the plug point. So here we could have a mantra. We could have the cable, we could have the plug, we could have the apparatus, whatever it may be. But if we do not take that and use it, switch it on, put it into the plug point, the socket, switch on the light, that mantra is not going to have that potency. So when we connect with a bona fide pure devotee, a spiritual master of the Vaishnava Sampradaya, these acharyas have given us this tradition. When we connect with them and receive the mantra in such light, we will be able to activate the power of the mantra. And that is what Lord Shiva is doing here. He is now setting the scene for receiving the power of this mantra. We can also see the power of a mantra, and I'm just going to get into that, with Haridas Thakur, the pastime of Sri Haridas Thakur. And Haridas Thakur was actually, he was so fixed in wanting to just chant and chant and chant and chant. And Ramachandra Khan had sent this beautiful lady to come and distract Haridas Thakur from his chanting. And Haridas Thakur continued to chant. And here she came and she spoke her sweet words, and Haridas Thakur continued to meditate. And she came again the next day, and Haridas Thakur said, I'm not finished my chanting. I've got to still complete my japa. And he was chanting this mantra, and she was sitting there. And she was waiting for his attention. And she came again the third day. And Haridas Thakur remained fixed in his chanting of the japa, and she was sitting there, and she was waiting for his attention. And these envious people, Ramachandra Khan, sent this prostitute to Haridas Thakur to distract him from his meditation, from his path of spirituality, and wanted to see, oh gosh, he's so good, he's chanting. And here's this woman who came to allure him to a different sphere of life. But what did Haridas Thakur? He said, no, wait, we will talk. right? But I have not finished my japa. I have not finished my chanting. Their Lordship Shri Shri Radha Radhanath ki jai. Mahaprabhu ki jai. Srila Giriraj Govardhan ki jai. And what happened after the third day of this beautiful lady being in that courtyard hearing the Maha Mantra from a pure devotee? She became engulfed with the attraction of the mantra because it came from the lips of a pure devotee. So that is the reason why this mantra, by hearing it attentively from the lips of a pure devotee, is so important. So then we go on to understand that we could have all these opportunities. We could have kirtan, and we love that, right? We love these kirtan, we love engaging, and so on. But if we do not do it attentively, it loses its potency. That's a very important point that Srila Prabhupada makes here. And that's one of the 10 offenses of the holy name. So at the end, he says, Lord Shiva advised the sons of the king to hear him attentively, for inattentive hearing is offensive. So again here, we look at, understanding the power of the person who is sharing the mantra and the power of the mantra. So when we combine the two, we will then be able to say, okay, now we're going to have something really powerful within our life that's going to change the trajectory of how we live. Let's take, for instance, Jagai and Madai. Jagai and Madai, they also were very fallen from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Very, very fallen. But when they heard, and every time, Haridas Thakur, Lord Nityananda used to go and sing these holy names, chant the Maha Mantra on the streets. And what had happened is that they used to scream at them. And eventually it got violent in the end. Mahaprabhu was so upset. But what changed their lives is that they heard the Maha Mantra from the lips of a pure devotee. And that is very important in terms of how we receive things that are given to us. So Lord Shiva is very kind here, where, it's out of the causeless mercy, as it is said in the translation. Out of his causeless mercy, the exalted personality, Lord Shiva, a great devotee of Lord Narayan, continued to speak to the king's sons, who was standing with folded hands. Two things there. How is bhakti received? The attitude. The king's sons are standing with folded hands. They're the sons of the king. Do they need to stand with folded hands if we look in the material world? They say, I'm the sons of the king. I need to just sit here and everything needs to happen for me. Why do they need to be humble? And Lord Shiva, on the other hand, he says, well, although I am Lord Shiva, great Mahadev, I'm going to give this to you. So one is giving, and the other one is in the mood of receiving. And they will receive very, very attentively, because Srila Prabhupada says also that there's many mantras, but the Maha Mantra is all powerful. How do we perceive it is what's important. For instance, the sun. Today is a cloudy day. It's a bit chilly as well, right? So there's the sun, and we always look forward to checking out the weather. How many of you check out the weather the day before? Okay, I've got some hands up to say yes, right? We do. It's just conditioned now. We check the weather. I don't know whether, the daily dress is similar, but if we have Harinams outside or festivals, programs, we want to plan accordingly. So we just look at what the weather's like. So the sun's there constantly. The sun is powerful. And on a cloudy day, We say, no, it's cold. Where are you, sun? We can't see you. Rainy day. It's even worse. And we've got the umbrella, and we even think, should we go out? So it's how do we perceive that sun? So because it's a rainy day, because it's a cloudy day, is the sun not powerful? Sun is powerful. Sun is there. It's just shaded by the clouds time to time. So the Maha Mantra is all powerful. But it's our materialistic nature that shades that power, right? Our anarthas from within us, our desires, our hankering for material things in this world, where our focus shifts, that we lose the power of the mantra. So the mantra is given to us, and we are so fortunate that Srila Prabhupada has done that for us. Actually, His Holiness Radhanath Swami, in a class not too many days ago in Juhu, Mumbai, I think about a month ago, he was explaining very, very nicely how Srila Prabhupada could speak so many languages, right? Why did he painstakingly translate all of this into English? Why? He could have translated into any other language. And Sanskrit is a very, very high, I'm going to use this word, right? It's a very high class language. Sanskrit is first class in terms of the language. So why now translate Sanskrit texts into English? He could have translated into any other language. Of course, now we know that Bhaktivedanta Book Trust has given that. But why did Srila Prabhupada translate it into English? Because he followed the instruction of his spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami, who wanted Srila Prabhupada to take this mission to the West, and everybody in the West was speaking English. So English is not the greatest language in the world, right? If you actually research it, English is not rated very high in terms of language. It is one of the main languages or second languages of many countries. And therefore, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur wanted to make these scriptures available to everyone. Why? To fulfill the desire of the Mahaprabhu that every town and village will be chanting the holy name of Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada did that for us. And he did it in a sense of allowing us to understand these texts. And for me, I just felt that, when His Holiness Radhanath Swami was speaking about this, it was that this Sanskrit is such a pristine language. Srimad Bhagavatam is spoken in such eloquence in Sanskrit. But when we look at it in English, Srila Prabhupada, being the greatest Acharya, had brought it down to English, and he's given us his full potency. Not only did he translate it, but he also gave us a purport. I always say we could have had these texts in Sanskrit and we could have translation, but without a purport, what would we understand? Right? We'd be all confused. You'd have your perception, I'd have my opinion, we'd have a debate about it, and then where would we be at? Here it is very, very clear. We've got the mantra, it comes from the lips of a pure devotee, we listen attentively, we receive the full potency. 3 simple steps. Now when we talk about inattentive hearing, there's 3 parts to it, right? Inattentive hearing, it's 3 parts. And very interestingly as well, when we break that up, it's the second part is laziness, right? The second part is laziness, because when we look at being lazy, we say, okay, we're chanting our japa, and then we are distracted, we are looking at the phone, or some message has come through and we are waiting for something, and then we have to get to the phone, so we leave our japa and we now go scrolling. Let's look at what has come up. I was waiting for this message and it's here now. That's an offense to the holy name, right? It is inattentive. The first one Being adhusaya is actually the attraction to material objects, where we become indifferent to the holy name. So where the holy name is there and we are just craving material objects, our mind is going to different places. We are craving this material objects. So that is the first kind of inattentiveness. The second one is laziness, jagdiya. And something more important is out there. And you are now, your mind is going again. It all comes back to the mind. So the mind is going to find what's more important than me chanting this japa. And the third one is distraction. And that could be to wealth, to relationships. The holy name is here, we do it, but it's done more mechanically. So we just go through the process of it. So here again, the purport says, pure devotee, attentive chanting. And when we have that combination of the Maha Mantra, the super powerful mantra, in terms of the purity received, how we receive it. Now, how do we remedy this inattentiveness? And it's in us all. I cannot say I am perfect. Right? We all, in this human birth, we all have the tendency for the mind to wander. And we could be as fixed as we can in our japa or listening or hearing. How do we remedy this ineffectiveness? We remedy it by the association of those who are fixed, those who are a little more advanced in their devotional life. So, in life as well, we have those who take energy from us, right? And we just feel drained and depleted after our conversation with them, right? They zap our energy. Then we have those who are like our peers, who we can share nicely, and those that we look up to, like mentors, and those who give us good energy, that when we leave their association, we say, wow, I'm so grateful for them in our lives. So we need to have more of those people in our spiritual circle. Yes, our peers are important. Those who are on the same level of us, who we can share as friends over breakfast and so on. Those that we help in their spiritual life. But also it's very important for us to have those who are a little more advanced and who have gone through these different stages and the different processes, so that we can imbibe their qualities and we could also get some of their energy from them. So when we look at just understanding all of this, and another pastime or an example that I've come across, which was very interesting, is the hunter. The hunter who hunted animals, right? And he was hunting animals for a living. And when he hunted these animals, he was like not just hunting them in a sense of killing them, he tortured them. So he hunted them in a sense of killing them halfway, if you want to say it like that, right? Not quite the whole way of just slaughtering animals. So he hunted these animals and he took pleasure from it. In the woodlands long ago, there's a lovely poem that I will just read a bit for you. Once in a woodland long ago, in a place quite far away, was a man who was a hunter, who lived for the hunt each day. The hunter, he, of a peculiar sort, delighting in inflicting pain, imagining it were a magnificent sport, proclaimed, "Murgari is my name. I am a hunter, fierce and strong. I hunt these woods with care. I place all creatures in discomfort, then skin them for their hair. Now once upon a time did come through the forest of their plight, a sage of great purity did witness the terrible sight. All the poor animals living there struggling with all their might, left to twist they were all day and into the night. Here a deer lying near the path pierced his body by an arrow, with broken legs and in much pain, tormented to the marrow. Alas, a boar was pierced there too, an arrow in his back. A rabbit whose suffering was severe, laying beside the track. Who hunts like this? The sage did ask, engaging in such a cruel task. The hunter replied, "'Tis I, Murgari, the enemy of animals am I. I have found a pleasure great to hear their pitiful cries, and to see their pitiful tears streaming down from their woeful eyes. I do it always just like with unlimited bliss, in tune with what my father taught me in natural harmony." So, who was the sage who walked through the woodlands? It was Narada Muni. And he saw all these animals half dead. And he went to look for this hunter. And he asked him, "What are you doing?" You know? And as we're reading here, the hunter says, "This is all I know. My father taught me to hunt in this way. This is what I do for a living, right? So I'm hunting these animals." So Narada Muni then goes on to say, "Please end their lives more mercifully, bringing them the least amount of pain, lest you be doomed by all the sins of the hunt that bears your name. Leaving the poor animals to suffer here in agonizing pain, I ask you to please desist from such actions you've been taught. The urge to bring pain, please resist, entering fresh new thoughts." Now the hunter did think deeply of the sage's words, opening his eyes. "What would you have to do, kind sir, for my livelihood?" On which I reply, "Tell you I will," said the holy sage. "Listen and you will be saved." And now Narada Muni, see now? So Narada Muni explained to the sage, this is what's going to happen to you. You're going to have a lot of karmic reaction. So what had happened there? The hunter asked and Narada Muni replied. So it was a very loving exchange. And Narada Muni then went on to say, "Break your bow and I'm going to give you this mantra. And you will chant this mantra and you'll be okay." And eventually what had happened is he says, "But who's going to give me food? I depend on hunting." So Narada Muni assured him, "Take the mantra, meditate, I will give you food. I will take care of you. Just leave the bow, break the bow." And just like that, your needs shall be provided, for our Lord we need not ask. The hunter did as he was told, breaking in half his bow, and gave away all that he had, his heart becoming glad. There, near the sacred river, he built a cottage. He began a brand new life. His spiritual master he did thank and started there his life anew, the hunter and his wife. The sage he promised to send each day food to keep them strong and well, and gave to them a sacred mantra. Old they did sing as their daily song. A special treat named Tulsi Devi, and with love did help her grow. And as the story continued, that in terms of the holy name being sung by this hunter and his wife, with Tulsi Devi in front of them, they lived happily ever after. And the moral of the story here is that on the bank of the sacred river with his wife, as the hunter saw the sage come near and rushed to greet him there, fearing he'd be trapped. So when Narada Muni came to meet them eventually, the hunter skipped and went to meet Narada Muni. And Narada Muni asked him, "But why are you not walking?" He said, "Because I do not want to kill any ants on the way." So it was just such a disparity, because on one hand he was killing the animals in a very torturous manner, but after hearing from a great sage of Narada Muni and receiving the sacred mantra, his life changed. So when we have the conviction of the sacred mantra, as Lord Shiva is now setting the scene, our lives will change as well. So understanding that attentive chanting and attentive hearing, even if it means blocking out that bit, Radhanath Swami also says very nicely that he says it, and this is Radhanath Swami, he has the power to say that. In Kirtan, and there's a lovely kirtan going on in Juhu in Mumbai. He was giving this class a month ago in Mumbai. And he said sometimes he watches the devotees. And there's a lovely roaring kirtan, and then there's somebody talking to each other. And Radhanath Swami says, oh, I wish I could go here. What's more important in that conversation than enjoying the kirtan? What's more important? And he says sometimes he walks around and somebody's got the japa bag in their hand and they've got the phone in the other hand. And he says, I'd love to just snatch that phone and see what text is that. So, although Radhanath Maharaj gives this in a very humorous way, but the message is that if we place the importance of the chanting and hearing attentively, and if we do that with conviction, if we receive it well from the lips of a pure devotee, then our path to spirituality is very clear. Srila Prabhupada also, there's one more pastime where he was lying very, very ill just before his disappearance day in Vrindavan. Very ill. And he couldn't move. And it was in the middle of the night that he called his servant, Shuddhakirti Prabhu. He called him and he said, you know what? I want to see the pujari of this Vrindavan Krishna Balaram temple. And the pujari came in the middle of the night wondering, why does Srila Prabhupada want to see me? And we've just observed disappearance day on Saturday. So Srila Prabhupada then said to him, you know what? You are doing such a wonderful service because you are the pujari and you are so close to Krishna. But he also said, even closer to Krishna is hearing and chanting of the holy name. So in whatever service capacity we may be, whatever we may be doing, but when we block out the disturbance of the mind, and we attentively hear and chant and be present when we do those activities, our path to devotional service becomes clear. How much more simple can that be? And the rest of the day we can go on. We can go on talking, checking our emails, our text messages, whatever it is. But during that time of hearing this mantra and chanting this mantra, whether it's collectively or individually, what the purport says here is that attentive chanting is very important. And Lord Shiva voluntarily came to bless the sons of the king because he felt that this mantra was beneficial to them. And he personally chanted the mantra so that the mantra would become powerful. So let us also be grateful to Srila Prabhupada, especially during this time. We have a few days left of the month of Kartik. The last 5 days are known to be the most powerful of this month. That's coming up very soon. Time passes by so quickly. So even if we can be attentive, more consciously attentive during this period, Kartik is also powerful on its own. But if we can marry the power of this month to hearing and chanting attentively, we have the most powerful mantra in the age of Kali, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So when we marry that, we are able to actually receive great benefit. And if we can just block out our time, I always say, let's leave our devices aside for a bit. Let's become a little bit more focused in kirtan. Let's become a little bit more present when we're hearing. Let's look for those mentors that can guide us better in our spiritual life. If we find that, there's something that's missing and we need to have association with somebody who's already developed that taste for the holy name, let's do that. And this is the all-powerful month for us to imbibe. And what better way we can honor Srila Prabhupada as well, 50 years into coming to South Africa. Next year it will be ISKCON 60. And there's so much to look forward to. So when we are sharing the holy name with others, we can set the example by being present. We can set the example by saying, let's listen attentively, even if it's for 10 minutes, in our japa circle, in our chanting of the holy names together. Let's do that. And by us becoming a little bit more conscious of the attentive chanting, by receiving these words from a pure devotee, not only with ourselves, receive higher benefit, but collectively as a community, we can achieve greater benefit as well. Thank you so much. Are there any comments, questions, reflections, thoughts? Gantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.